Let's close the chapter on the England stuff and the RFU.
Yes.
So, not that you are here to give a solution, but what do you think the solution is? I mean, it can't get any worse. They might do all right in the World Cup. They've got Argentina. They do all right in World Cups. They've got the players. But with the stuff that you said is quite damning, really, on the organisation.
Yeah.
I look at it from the outside in. I agree with you on some of it. I don't know enough about the other parts of it. I'm obviously a Scotland fan, and I'm a rugby fan, and we went through the archives. France to thrive in South Africa, love them. Massive fan of Scott Robinson. Seeing him in a few days in Marseille, which will be class. The emotional intelligence of these guys and the emotion, the connection that you feel to these people bring you on the journey of rugby, and that's what I love. But England don't have that at the minute. So let's close the chapter on that. What do you think needs to change? I know you're not meant to be the problem solver, but you've brought up this issue. Like, people will be talking about this as well.
Yeah. The only thing that is going to make them pay attention is losing money, right? The rest of it's just white noise because it's a money-driven business. Twickenham selling out, and that started not to happen in the last couple of games. So there's going to be people now feeling it and shaking, because you can't run this business or the sport with a view to make money. It's got to be done in truth, integrity, and coaches to coach in a full perspective way. Don't just talk about culture or believing in the man and all of this stuff. Like you said it earlier, let's have coaches that are truly compassionate and loving, and that can be stern. Like Sean Edwards is the best coach I've had, and he walks around tough ass. He's had a tough life. He's had lots of tough things go on, but the compassion he shows to each and every single one of his players, how he gets in bed with them, not physically, but like to the point where you feel like, okay, he's with me. That's why he gets the results he gets. Defence is not a difficult part of the game. Setting up a structure, the fold, getting off the line. He brings the intensity and emotion out of them because they feel it with him. And he's doing it in a country that don't speak, the language doesn't necessarily speak fluently. Like, he's obviously got a good French and he's worked hard on it. They see his efforts.
But the fact he's managed to do shows how good he is.
It shows you, like, he is a compassionate man, right? And that's where he gets his success.
You want Sean Edwards, don't you?
No, I'm not. Listen, I would love Sean Edwards to be involved as a defence coach. I think that'd be great for England. I think someone like Scott Robertson heading it up, really just shaking up what we see within rugby now. Because what we need to hear needs to be different to every tagline you've heard from Borthwick, Lancaster, Johnson, so on. It needs to sound different. Lancaster's thing was, let's bring the media in. Let's make them part of the whole thing. You're just trying to sell the product again of what you think is the right thing to do, but it didn't work out well, did it? So let's have people that truly understand the game, compassionate, want to bring people up, and someone you want to follow them and become like, follow their vision, believe in it. You can't believe in every single coach's vision that comes your way. Like, you have to have some sort of understanding of where you want to go to, and then you'll connect with certain coaches or not.
Well, Razzie's up for grabs, apparently.
He'd be great. He's done a fantastic job at South Africa. Quite clearly, like, how do you replicate that success? Is it possible? Because obviously he's South African. He feels the pain of the issues going on within the country, and he also has a huge compassion for the guys that have been in lesser fortunate situations, and he brings everyone in. He's worn the jersey, but he also loves the Willie LaRue's and the finesse and the beauty of it too. He's not just steeped in harder, stronger, longer, faster. Like, he understands there's a nuance to it, to life. There's a balance to it.
That's why I think someone like, and this isn't me getting rid of Steve.
No.
And I'm not saying that you can't follow Steve, but I think people that front the team, the fans need to believe it. The media, to a degree, needs to believe it and be on that journey. And having someone, I thought Kevin Sinfield was going to be that man, but clearly he's inexperienced in that space. You look at someone like Sean Edwards, he's walked the walk.
He has walked the walk.
Visually, he's walked the walk up north where it rains a lot, dark. He's had his head in there and he's done the rounds. Like, he's done his apprenticeship. Kevin's been thrown in there, and this is no just disrespect. I love Kev Sinfield, everything he stands for away from rugby as well. The guy's a legend, and he might be the first to say that he's not quite ready, and maybe he can stay in there. But I think someone like Sean Edwards, if you're an England fan, you'd want to go all out to bring him in, however that looks.
For sure.
You could have Steve as a forwards coach, head coach, and him coming in being like, you know what, this is what we need to do.
For sure. Sean's a really proud Englishman too. So you would need some balance within it. You would need a Scott Robertson with him. He could do it, like Sean, I've got no doubt. But I think someone like Scott, who would... obviously he's tied up with New Zealand though, so we're just talking fantasy here.
And I got Scott the job. Did you hear about that?
New Zealand job.
So Scott came on the Big Jim show, right? And he wouldn't do an interview, so I'm hounding him because I went and saw him at the Barbarians, and he made me hit the deck and start doing his move. So I was like, mate, you've embarrassed me. You coming on? So he comes on the Big Jim show, and you know what he's like, as in he's talking to me, as in open, just as mates, like a fucking good bloke. We're going back and forth. He's like, look, I said, what's the dream? He said, look, I want to win the World Cup with 2 different countries. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you've asked me the question. That's
cool.
That's what I dream about. He said, New Zealand, I want to be one. And he said, I don't mind. And he might have referenced England. I can't remember who it was. Next thing, because the way that the New Zealand media is, it was on the radios. It was like, Scott Robertson shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that interview. Who is this bloke he's doing the interview with? And he got the job. And I just texted him and said, you're welcome. I felt bad on Ian Foster. And he just laughed. He said, I'm never speaking to you again. But yeah, like as in so charismatic and cool. Which is great to have people like that in our game. Like,
no, for sure,
really
for sure.
is.
We want to allow the room for it here too. But like, you also got to recognise like the way our media plays out. Like, when people behave in that manner, then a lot of the judgment and he's different to us, and that all comes out too. So there's other fronts in terms of having to make a lot of change within what we see on a daily basis that's in front of our eyes. How they write about people, how they speak about people, how it is just people getting constantly judged and critiqued, and it can just only put a dark cloud over our country. And you see that with everything that's playing out: more segregation, more Brexit, more these things, and all of these things. And listen, I'm not petitioning for or against anything. I'm not petitioning for Borthwick out. I'm not petitioning for any of these things. I'm only ever saying that we can lead from the hearts, lead with love, and that's a more difficult thing to do, because fear-based leading tactics looks like Eddie Jones in the group he ran, and you can get results. It doesn't necessarily mean that any part of the game is going to grow, because it didn't. It put Steve in a really difficult position. So I think it's going to be interesting how it all plays out now with the World Cup. I think he's so detailed in what he's doing that at some point their forwards are just going to do something which they could have a really connecting performance against Argentina, where their drills are so perfect that you can still win games on the back of that. So it'd definitely be interesting, and good luck to them.